Alright, let's do some speedrunning. Hello fellow survivors, what you're about to watch is my first attempt at speedrunning episode 4. I did this because I had a suspicion that it was possible to skip a few of the areas and do a few shortcuts, and I was hoping to do it under an hour. As you'll see, I end up going just over an hour in this speedrun, but it's perfectly possible to do it faster because I don't do it flawless by any means. I do multiple mistakes along the route. And I think if you ended up doing exactly what I did and then just doing it a bit faster, we'd shave off 5 or 10 minutes. But that's neither here nor there. I'll hop right into it in a sec. I will point out though that I did this over several sessions and I have cut some bits here and there. Whenever you see me go into the menu, usually that means I have exited the game and then come back later and I just cut those parts out. So this run shouldn't be considered like a completely accurate run in terms of time, because I did cut the dead parts between exiting the game and loading the games and stuff like that. But you know, it doesn't really matter. It still gives you a good idea of the time for the run. But this is generally my first try. So let's hop right in. And this will be my commentary. I'll explain what I'm doing along the way. So let's just hop into that. So I think this episode is pretty good. It was quite fun. The story isn't amazing, but Mathis is a great voice actor. Now I count the start of the run as when I click confirm. When I click go, that's when I consider that the run starts, and then it ends when you enter the dam at the end of the game, because that's when the cutscene begins. Now with the dialogue, you can skip all this by clicking space, but the only issue is that doing that it's really tiring, and I'm just spamming the space bar here, trying to do it as fast as possible, and I'm sure you can do it even faster than this, but I'm just trying to just get through as fast as I can. And here you have the tutorial, which I don't honestly see the point of at all for the game. I guess it's kind of like aimed at new players or something. And here, because this is kind of like a specific type of status, you can't pass time to recharge sprint. But then what I figured out is that what you can do instead is to harvest an item, which I do here. So when you harvest an item, you don't actually damage it. You don't do anything to it until you finish harvesting. So if you want to pass time, when you actually can't pass time, you just harvest something and then cancel it before it's over. You can do the same if you have cabin fever in survival. You can just start harvesting something and cancel it, and you'll be able to pass time indoors. So here it's pretty much just about recharging sprint as much as possible. You'll see me do this throughout most of the run. I'll do some sprinting, and then I'll stop, and then I'll pass time to recharge the sprint meter, and then sprint some more. Basically just get through it as fast as possible. Now this is hardened mode, which means it's a little bit more punishing in terms of cold and that sort of stuff. So you can't just do this non-stop. You have to have a certain tactic. And this was my first attempt at speedrunning, but I did do a little scouting run before to kind of get a feel of how this could be done, and I realized that I need to sleep at least once, and therefore I start picking up things like wood and stuff like that. So there's all sorts of things you should prepare for. You can't just run and then harvest, or run and pass time. You need to plan a little bit ahead. And this run that you're watching now is nowhere near perfect. There's multiple things I do wrong. I make at least 2 major mistakes in this run, which by themselves probably lose maybe 5 minutes, and I'll comment them when I get there if I remember. But for the most part, I think this is a decent speed run for an hour. I think it's possible to complete the episode in probably 45 minutes if you did it perfect enough. But there's a story for another time. But this is quite good. There's a few close encounters with animals in this one, some rope jumps, some shortcuts, some out of bounds, and some other stuff. And the dreaded Steam puzzle as well, which took a little bit of practice to get a hang of when I scouted it out. So yeah, I'm just trying to get through this as fast as possible, just get out of the prison, and it's just about running as much as possible. Now, just like with any other speedrun, the loot and health doesn't really matter unless they are of benefit to the actual run, and as long as you don't die. The game also has certain recharge points, so whenever you enter the prison, you will come out of the prison again in full health and full everything. So even if you enter the prison with, you know, broken, like sprained ankles and this and that, and half of your life gone, when you come out, you'll be fully healed again. I guess because it's like a checkpoint. So as long as you reach those points, it doesn't really matter how much health you have. So then we come to the opening, which is probably the longest dialogue section in the game. So I'm skipping all this, and then it's just chat, 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 chat. Yeah, that was not a save point. That was me trying to spam getting past this. I will say one thing about the dialogue in episode 4, which is that you can actually skip all of it by just spamming the skip button, which is space. Well, in some of the other episodes, if you just spam the dialogue skip, you can exit the conversation by accident, because the button to exit the conversation is the same as the button to skip dialogue. And there's a lot of optional dialogue. Like, for example, talking to Grey Mother, it's very easy to accidentally leave the conversation. So you have to time it a little bit. But here you can literally just spam, 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 spam. It's really no biggie at all. So just going to get through this as fast as possible. Now, the routes I'm going to run in this speed run, I'm sure I'm not necessarily the fastest. When I have the way I did it was I played the run once. Sorry, I played the episode once normally, which I streamed, and then I finished the rest off stream. And then I did one more run where I tried different segments which I thought could be skipped based on the first playthrough. And then I tried those out. But I haven't tested anything to see if what I did is the fastest route or anything like that. But I did find a few things. Like, for example, I did find a shortcut to the dam, which will save you a ton of time getting there, I would say. And I did some rope skips, which also saves you quite a lot of time. So I'm just going to get to that, and I'm going to explain as I go along. Now I'm just trying to get through this. There's so much dialogue in the opening. If you hear me making any noises, like some drinking noises or this, it is me drinking and having some crisps. So yeah, let's get through this dialogue stuff. Yada yada. I like this character on the left with the goatee or whatever. He's kind of interesting. The bald guy is less interesting. I love the addition of the rap who talks like that, like as if Mackenzie's trying to be cool or some stupid stuff. That's pretty funny. Alright, so now we're coming out to the first part of the real gameplay. So this is where the game really begins, and in some respect the speedrun should really start here. Anyway, here I am. So I'm doing some saving. You'll see me do this now and then. Whenever I come to a section I think could be very difficult, I save it in case something happens. And there was a case early where the game, later where the game crashed, and I did actually have to do it again, but I cut that part out. So here it's just, you don't really need any of this loot, but I am picking up a flare, matches, wood, and the pry bar. The pry bar isn't really necessary, but I have it just in case, and just to have something against the wall. I'm picking up these cloths. I'll make a mistake later with these things. I make multiple small mistakes in this run. There's several small errors, and there's a couple big errors as well. So here's the first wolf. You can just ignore him. As long as you don't get too close, he's not going to ignore you. I pick up a stone, and then I'm passing time to regenerate sprint. You can't get completely through here without a torch or a flare, because there's a wolf here guarding the entrance. You'll see it right in front of me now. See, that wolf didn't really attack me because another wolf was already aggroing me, and I had a flare going up anyway. But he probably would have attacked me if I didn't light the flare. So here I'm picking up all the wood I can find, and the reason I'm picking up all the wood is because I want to sleep after I found the medicine for this chapter to regenerate sprint. I pick up the coffee, which I end up not using, and I pick up the recycled cans because the only weapons I'm really going to use in the speedrun is the noisemaker to deter timber wolves. Picking up books and things as well, a little bit of food. This could have been done fast. I'm a little bit slow here. I'm kind of winging this. And then crossing over these bridges. Am I passing time here? I should. No, I'm not. So this is another small error, not passing time properly. So I think if you did this speed run and you did this exactly how I did it, but just did it faster and more precise, you'd probably shave at least 5 minutes off. And the clothing doesn't really matter, but I still pick it up. The coffee, I don't think I end up drinking coffee. I thought there was something in here, but I misremembered there was nothing in there. And then you have the first dialogue with Jace, which you can. It's pretty long, but you can skip it.
You forgot your name.
My name.
Right. Well, you working? Then what do you? Soon you're.
Yeah, the Jace is kind of a cool character. I kind of like Jace. She's interesting. I don't know why she would be good at hacking though, if she's an astrophysicist. Her abilities don't really make sense if she's a grad student, but I mean, who cares? She's pretty cool. Shame she doesn't appear until the end. But here I'm a bit slower, so I could sprint here. The dialogue has reset the sprint meter, but I forget about it, so I'm a bit slow. Then I get out, and now it's pretty much just ignore this wolf. He's not going to be a problem. And you go through the gatehouse and again pick up some stuff. And now we have our first shortcut. We need to get to the medicine ASAP. And I'm going to take a little shortcut. There's a few bridges and a few caves and stuff in Blackrock that's not marked on the map. And I'm going to use one of them. And again, I'm looting this. I'm mostly looting it because I'm going to put stuff in there later. And then again, I'm picking up all the wood I can find. There's no point looting this. I'm not sure why I did that. I get more matches. And then we get the noisemaker, which I don't need now, but I'll need it later. And then we pass time here where it's a bit warmer. And then I save the game again, because now we're entering the wilderness. And now the first proper run begins of getting there. So we're running out, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a little shortcut over the mini bridge over the chasm, and we're going to go to that little barn that I forgot the name of. The reason we're going that route is because there's a rifle there, and then that rifle will act as a wildlife deterrent. So here I'm running, and then I'm stopping and passing time to recharge the sprint meter, and then I run again. Don't worry about the cold. You only really need to worry about the cold if you're going to sleep outside, or if it's going to get so cold that you get hypothermia. Now I'm picking up some stones because these could be handy if there's a moose or a wolf. There's usually a lot of wolves around in this game, and you're going to see about halfway through the speed I'm going to encounter a lot of timber wolves. Here I'm a little bit lucky, there's very few wolves at the moment, but later I cross this area again and there's way more wolves. I'm very, very close to getting hit by one. Here's this bridge, for some reason it's not on the map, not sure why. And then we're passing time, heading up to this little barn. And here the reason I have the stone is to throw a stone over this little ledge here, because the moose can spawn here. And in my scouting run I actually almost got stomped by the moose. I ran over here and then I could hear it, and it was on by the ice over there. So yeah, that's why I did that. I'm looting this to get more wood. You'll see why in not very long. Picking up this gunpowder, you need that for noisemakers and fires if necessary. You don't really need to loot this, but I knew there was a rifle round in there, so I just decided to check it. And there we go. I picked this. Oops! I picked this up, but the rifle really isn't necessary in this speedrun at all. I will use it now in just a minute to get rid of the wolf guarding the medicine, but you don't really need it. A flare would have been just as fine. Here's another minor mistake. I misremember which car had the flare, and it was not this one. I got the mittens, but what I really wanted was the flare, which is in the other car. It's on the floor. Here it is. That was a minor mistake. Here you can skip pretty much all the walls. If you go up on the left side there over this edge, as long as you don't smell too much, they won't detect you, and you can pretty much bypass all of them except for the last wolf. So here I just go as high as I can, and then I think I pass time. No, I don't pass time because it's too close to the wolf. And then I get that out. And I think this is the only time I use the rifle. I take it with me the rest of the run, but I don't use it. Kill the wolf. And then here you'll see one of the first and the few times I'm going to sleep. And the reason is to get back sprint. Arguably this isn't necessary. I have quite a lot of stamina already. But the reason I'm doing this is, for one thing, I'm very cold. So I'm quite close to hypothermia. And my stamina is well over halfway used. So I'm pretty much just putting this down and then getting some warmth and sleeping until I'm fully rested. And then it's just about getting back. I mean, this whole thing takes, what, 15 seconds or something. And it removes the complication of being cold. So that's why I'm doing this. Because the safety measure, which arguably isn't necessary, but it makes it a little bit easier. And then you take the same route back, the exact same route. There's no point going down the road, in my opinion. I don't know if this route I'm taking is actually faster, but I think it is. Here I'm passing time a little bit before the sprint has been depleted, because where I am right now, the wolves won't reach me up there. So it's better to, when you're sprinting like this, and then passing time to regenerate the sprint, you want to do it in a safe location. So if I'd gone down and used all the sprint, a wolf could have attacked me, because when you pass time, the wolves can attack you. However, it's not flawless. You will see me later in the speedrun a couple times. I will pass time while a wolf is on me, particularly timber wolves. And that's very dangerous, but you can do it, especially if you time it right in terms of their animations and so on. Like timberwolves are the easiest because, for example, if you pass time when the timberwolves start howling because they detected you, when the time passing is over, they'll still be in that howling animation for some reason. So you can pretty much get double sprint and ignore the timberwolves. The timberwolves are not that big of an issue because they don't follow you as long as you think. Once you outrun them to a certain degree, they just they stop following you for some reason. But there's a lot of wolves. This episode has a lot of wolves in it. So this is the first chapter is probably the least interesting because it's literally just running from one place to the other, picking up stuff. There's hardly anything in the way. There was one wolf in the way, and I just ran past the other one. I made a minor mistake. I didn't wait long enough. If you pause and pass time, if you do that too quickly, the game won't realize you're sort of catching your breath, and it won't recharge your sprint. So when you stop, you have to wait like 1.5, 2 seconds, and then recharge it. And then I'm putting all this stuff in, including the clothes. I'm not sure that was necessary, but I'll do it anyway. I put this in, but you don't need antiseptic, but you never know. So that was probably the least interesting part of the speedrun. Now we're going to go to chapter 2, where it's going to get a bit more interesting. I'm going to show you a shortcut that I found to get to the dam, which will get you there much faster. And I don't do it flawless by any means. I make 2 minor mistakes in doing it, but it should get you there pretty quickly. And then I'll show you the dreaded steam pipe crap, which I don't like.
Well,
And first some dialogue to skip. Let that run out.
I think what keep I'm not so but I just right. Hold shit gonna be still get to right now. Think enemy.
I don't think what you sent and you
That's me.
still don't see
Yeah.
what's more gonna make you gonna
Emma.
yes.
Am I good?
What?
Okay. Right.
I bet going down
What do you
no path
right? Got it.
and
Yes.
on dog board.
Alright, so now we're in chapter 2.
That's a bit shows.
Here I save the game again, so it might jump,
Why?
you know, half a second in editing or something.
Bastards.
Yeah, there we are. And now you'll see a shortcut that I tried out in my scouting run, and it worked. It's actually not that hard even. You can skip going over to the dam by just climbing over this little ledge. That will pass some time. And it's important. I initially thought, like, I don't really need much of the equipment, so I could just leave all the equipment in the locker. But you need to be able to start with a campfire, and you need flares, and you need noisemakers, and a bedroll, which is something in particular for later. For this, you want to jump down here onto this ice, and then you run through the ice, and you basically hug the wall of black rock. And just keep running onto the edge over here. Blackrock is now I'm changing my key bindings. You see, I'm changing my right mouse button to the number 5, and I'll explain why in just a second, because you'll see what I'm about to do. I'm going to do a campfire boost to get up this little ledge here. So I want to get up here, but it won't let me. So what I do is I place a campfire, and as you can see, when you place a campfire and then cancel, you launch a tiny, tiny bit up in the air. So what you can do is you can spam this. You can spam the campfire button and then the cancel button, and you'll slowly move upwards in ledges that you normally wouldn't be able to climb. That's why I switched the mouse button away from the right mouse button to the number 5, so that what I'm doing here is I'm just clicking 4 and 5. I'm spamming buttons 4 and 5. I think while I'm doing this, I'm a little bit distracted because you can see I'm sliding over to the right when I really should be on the left here. And I think I've corrected now in a sec. Here we are. So I'm a little bit slow doing this because I got distracted with something. But yeah, you just spam it like this until you get all the way up. Doing this will cause sprains very often. Because it causes damage, and you just do it, and there I got the sprain, and you get up, you climb this little ledge here, and then there's one more section here that you also got to spam. This one's a little tricky to get going. You got to kind of do it sideways a little bit. There we go, and now it's straight up. You can do this, by the way, to climb Tim Wolf Mountain. I've done it. I've climbed all the way up to Tim Wolf Mountain doing this, so you can skip all the ropes. But it's really boring to do because you have to really spam, you know, maybe hundreds of campfires, and it takes a big toll on your hands and your fingers. You can create a script, of course, to do it, but yeah. So there we are, they're up, and then I change the key bindings back. Then I make a minor error here. I don't have a bandage, so what I do is I break down the socks, because you don't really need the socks, to get a cloth. Only to then remember that I actually had some cloth in my inventory, so I lose a few seconds doing that. And then I just bandage my foot. And now we are walking along the wall of black rock. This is the only way to get up here, as far as I know. I tried hugging the wall of black rock when you come out and walking around along the edges, but it won't let you. There's an invisible wall that prevents you from going along the wall of black rock prison. But going up where I went allows you to bypass that wall and go this way. So now we just go around Blackrock, and from here it's pretty easy actually. It's very hard to miss this. You just go down here, and then you follow the edges pretty much. You just, from here, you can pretty much just run across this mountain here, which I am doing right now. You just run on this side like this. And then you just get to the other side. And this is pretty much it. You just gotta jump down now. I make a minor mistake. I misremember where the dam is. As you can see, it's right below me right now. We basically end up where the steam tunnels are. And you can actually enter the steam tunnels if you want without speaking to Jace. But it won't trigger the story mode. It will skip, like the doors will be locked even if you fall them. And here, the correct path is to the left, but I misremembered and I went this way. Whoops! So I lost. That's another minor error right there. But here you are. So there you go. Now you're back at the dam. So this is way faster, and if I had just timed this right with the, if I had paid a bit more attention with the campfire, and done it a little bit smoother, and also not misremembered where that stuff was, this would have been even faster. So it would probably taken what, 3 minutes or something to get there. It was very fast. So you skip going all the way around and running through wolves and bears and timber wolves and skip all of that stuff. So yeah, that's a shortcut to get up and around Blackrock and skip the whole thing.
That's not Carwell. Like, it got wandered. You then followed the next. It was.
And then there's this conversation with Jace, which is also quite long. This one is just, you just gotta spam it out. There's not much to do here.
I get Don, but Donner. Wait, this is working. Donner get Chester. We got that thing.
I will say that I think the story is a little bit weak here. Like, why? Who cares about Donna? Donna doesn't even appear in this episode. And why is she like good at hacking and stuff? I know she's a PhD student. I mean, I've been a PhD student and I'm a professor now. So I've been a grad student, and I don't know how to hack things. You know, maybe she uses advanced equipment up at the observatory she works at. I'm not sure how she knows how to do it, but I don't know. She seems way too resourceful for someone who's in her position, I think. And I think Math is also a little bit naive with Will. So I don't really understand quite the character's motivations all the time. Will also kind of goes along with the whole thing very easily. It's a little bit weird, I think, the motivation for Will. I know he wants the hard case, but yeah, I think that could have been a little bit more fleshed out. Overall, though, it's a good story. The region is fantastic. A very cool region. I look forward to playing this in survival mode. Anyway, here we are in the Steam Tones, the dreaded Steam Tones, with all the puzzles, which, frankly, I'm not a big fan of. And here I make my first big mistake. Here I pick up the flare, but I do not pick up the bedroll, which later in the run I realize is the case. I have to go pick up a second bedroll. It is possible to complete the rest of the speedrun without the bedroll, but it's much slower. And when I go and pick up the second bedroll, it's not a big detour, but I probably lose a couple minutes, or like at least 1 minute. And here's the steam puzzle. So here you go. This is as fast as you can do it, I think. You gotta stop this valve, and then you gotta redirect the steam over, so you're kind of directing it in like a N shape over. So you close this one in, and then you redirect it over, so that it forwards the lever underneath the top pipe. And now it's one more, which is this one. And this is when it's a bit stupid, I think. I don't really get why it's done like this. So now this forces this lever here, so you can open the steam to go further, but it's not hot enough, even though the pressure is very high. So you actually got to redirect it. You got to stop the steam from going this direction, and then direct it down, which doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, the steam is going there either way, right? I know it's got to do with like pressure, and that would make it warmer, I suppose. I don't know. I was not a big fan of this puzzle. Well, I do appreciate that developers are trying something different and making the story a little bit more immersive than just walking from point A to point B. And here I couldn't remember exactly, and then I remembered, so I hesitated a second. But this one's not too complicated. You basically have to loop it around, close this one, take it under and up. And I think it's the reverse on the other side. Yeah, here it goes over. And then you open this, which doesn't really make sense to me in the puzzle that this would be open. I don't see how that changes anything puzzle-wise. But anyway, that's what you need to do. And then it's the same here. You need to open this one. No, you have to... Is it open or closed? It's closed now, yeah. So that it goes this way. That's it. This is how you do the puzzle. I'm happy to do this slower if you want to. Just to show you another time, but this is me doing it as fast as I can. And I have to try and remember how to do it also. This was a pain to try and memorize. And then it's this one, and then that's it. No, there's one more. You have to go back to the steam engine, whatever. And here, the steam actually damages you, but I ignore it. I mean, who cares? You're gonna heal back up anyway. So I just pull this lever, and then I go back in. And now the next levers are very easy, but it's frustratingly... The crouch mechanic here is frustrating. You'll see what I mean in a second. I make another few mistakes in. Because here there's only 3 levers to turn in total in this room. So one is straight ahead. This one is bizarre. It's already open and then you close it and it says I'm making progress. I'm like, alright, I would have assumed you should have it open, but okay. And then you go in here and this part. See, you have to crouch under here. And here's a little thing. When you open this one, the game obviously wants you to continue down the hall, but it's actually faster to not do that because you have to crouch to the next hall. So it's actually faster to go back. But as you can see, the crouching is really annoying. It's like you can, here in this section, you can stand up, but it won't let me. So as you see, I'm spamming the crouch button here, and it won't let me get up. And later in the game, you'll see me do the same. I'm trying to make the character stand up, but it just won't do it. It's this very specific place you have to stand in order for the character to stand up, and it's frustrating. So this is what I mean with that. This is a first attempt at speedrunning this, but if you just did exactly what I'm doing in this run, but you did it more flawlessly, I think the whole run will be 5 minutes faster or so, maybe even more. Here's the last pipe of the puzzle, I suppose, and then you need the hammer. This is something that I notice people often forgot. You need the hammer for this puzzle. If you don't grab it, you can't smash the machine. So you need to grab the hammer. Even if you're never going to forge in the story mode, you know. There I'm lighting another flare. This flare is arguably not necessary because there's a lot of light already, so I'm not sure if that was necessary, but that's okay. So that was the steam puzzle. We now have to go at the end here. There is a first aid kit here at the end, but you want to open the valve first. This one, the last valve, because then while the ice is melting you can loot the first aid kit, and this first aid kit you want to loot because in here there is a stim. The stims actually aren't that useful in this kind of runs like episodic runs and the Dark Walker runs. They are based on real time and not in-game time, and therefore having a stim doesn't make it that much faster. You can just run past time and run again. Stim is faster, but it does deplete your energy. But the stims are less important in a real-time speedrun than in an in-game speedrun. In in-game speedruns, which is all the challenges in the Long Dark, except for Dark Walker, you do it as fast as you can in-game time-wise, and in those challenges you need as many stims as you can. But here it doesn't really matter. I don't know how many stims there are in the episode exactly, but on my first playthrough, when I played the story properly, I found 4 stims and 2 energy drinks. And in this one, I only find 1 of each, and I think that's it. Alright, now it's to head back. A little wrong turning there. And then I dump all my equipment into the locker, and then it's repeat, and then we come to the hardest part, arguably. So what we've seen so far has pretty much just been me doing shortcuts, running, and stuff like that. There hasn't really happened that much. It's been me running from the prison to another location and then back, getting medicine, then to the dam. There's only really been 1 wolf, which is the one I shot. But now on this segment, we're going to go from Blackrock and to the mine, and this one is a completely different story. You have to run through all sorts of crap. So I run into, I think I run into 3 Timberwolf packs in the upcoming footage, and a moose and a bear, but the bear is more or less ignoring me. So this is the toughest section because you have to be a little bit careful with having deterrence, and you have to be careful with how you pass time. You can only do it in areas you think are safe. So this one took a little bit of practice in my scouting run to practice how to do this. because it was
Interesting.
it was a
You
little
were-
tricky. And I don't think the route I take is the fastest. And also I had to go get the bedroll, because this is when I realized that, oh, I don't have the bedroll. When I take out the stuff from the container, I just realized I don't have it. So I have to, and you can do it without the bedroll, but it's a little bit tricky. I think you'll be significantly slower. So I decided to go get the second bedroll. I think it's actually more than 2 bedrolls in the episodes. I can't remember what the other ones are, but one's in that Timberwolf Mountain hut. I forgot the name. Here I transfer everything to the container except for the rifle, because I realize I don't need the rifle. And then I'm making bandages, because I know from my scouting run that this part's the hardest. It's very likely that going from here to the gold mine, not mine, the mine, I am going to get sprains or bleeding. What I'm doing now is I'm throwing these rocks, so I'm throwing them away rather than spending time dropping them from the inventory. The reason I'm doing that is to select the noisemaker faster, because in the hotkey for 2 for weapons, it will always choose the rifle first, or the revolver. And then, for some reason, I don't know if this is a bug or not, but at least in the episode, you can only choose 3 weapons on the hotkey. And here, let me tell you more about it after. So here's the first wolves. I'm running, and you just run to the left. There's 3 wolves here, and you just kind of skip it by going up here, this little route, and the wolves can't follow you here. And then I go down, and here I pass time.
Goodness.
And I need to pass time again, because now we're coming to some timber wolves. But yeah, if you have multiple weapons and you click 2 and you try and cycle the weapons with the shortcut key, they will sometimes not bring up the noisemaker, and it's very frustrating. It's kind of like a chance. If you have more than 3 weapons, it struggles to do it. So therefore I got rid of all of my weapons except the noisemaker, so that I could just click the button and it would immediately come up. And here you'll see the first Timberwolf skip. So now I'll trigger the Timberwolves on my left, and you can hear them. And that's triggering the morale. And then I pass time, and you can see they are still howling. They haven't caught up with me, and they're still doing their thing. So I bypass the entire aggro animation. Now they're right behind me, but from where I pass time to this trailer, there's a fairly good amount of stamina to get there. And even if not, I have a nice maker. So what I'm doing here is that I want to get some noisemakers. So what I do here is that I go to the work table and I craft 3 noisemakers. The reason I want 3 is because I think I need 3. So I need at least 1 for a Timberwolf pack, 1 for some wolves coming later, and then I have 2 in reserve depending on what happens really. And I also want to sleep because I want to get rid of the hypothermia risk, because we still have quite a long way to run. And if I don't do this, I need to stop and make a fire somewhere, and that's going to take too long. So it's easy to just stop here as a little break and then regenerate some health. And here I'm saving it again under a different name this time. And here it becomes, this is the first part of the really difficult speedrun, because now I have to go through a bunch of walls, and that's why I made all those noisemakers just in case. Here you'll see my first attack. This is a very small wolf pack, but it's not a big threat. And I'm double checking my map because it's focused to make sure I'm going the right way. And here the wolves have begun attacking, but I still pass time because I decided it was worth it. But unfortunately one of the wolves got in front of me and he bit me. Now what I'm doing now is I'm running to the hut that's by the lake here. I forgot the name of it, but once you enter this region, the wolves will stop aggroing you. There you go. You see the morale has broken. This seems to be something unique to the story mode. It doesn't seem to happen on survival as far as I know. And here's where the bandages come in handy. You see, I did predict I was going to get hurt, so I did. And I needed the bandage. But yeah, the Timberwolf seems to be kind of territorial, and once you exit the territory, they stop chasing you, which makes things a little bit easier, but you still got to go through them. So here we are at the hut. What's it called again? I can't even remember. Bricklayer's Retreat. Okay, the Bricklayer Hut. And here I get the bedroll, and I pass time to get some warmth back, but that's about it. And then grab the jacket, which I don't really need either. I have a quick drink just to avoid taking some damage. And here's the moves. And here I make a mistake, which confused me. I'm not sure what happened there. But you'll see I'm being very close here to getting stumped by the moose. So I light this, and then... no, sorry, here I light it, and then nothing happens. So I throw it. Hey, and that was really close. The reason that was close is because when I did a scouting run to test this, I found out that twice in a row the moose will stop charging you if you light a noisemaker. I thought maybe the noisemaker is kind of like a torch or something, because twice the moose had aggroed me, and then when I lit the noisemaker, the moose would break aggro. So I thought, oh, maybe the moose is like afraid of it or something. So therefore, when I did that, I thought that simply lighting the noisemaker meant that the moose would run away, which it didn't. So I had to throw it right in his face, and it worked out. But yeah, as you can see, I'm now starting to take a lot of cold damage. This is why I stayed in the trailer. If I wanted to be extra safe, I could have slept a couple hours in the bricklayer's hut too, to get some warmth back. But I decided I don't think it's necessary. Now we come up to our next Timberwolf pack. This one is a little bit tougher because it's longer, so here I end up using one. And again, I'm passing time while they do their animation. So they run up to me, but they don't start actually attacking. I didn't get full regeneration of sprint though. This did trigger a blizzard, which is a little bit unfortunate, makes it a little bit hard to navigate, and here I have to use my noisemaker. And then I pass time. And then sprint again. The thing about passing time is a little trick for any speedrunners who does real-time speedruns, whether it's episodes or Dark Walker. When wolves are afraid of you and you pass time, then the wolves won't attack you because they are still stuck in their fleeing mode. However, if a wolf has aggroed you, so if a wolf has caught you, or like it knows you're there and it's stalking you, and you pass time, the wolf can attack you. I got caught on some stuff. But if you scare the wolf and then pass time, then that won't happen. That's why in my Dark Walker speedruns, you'll see that sometimes I'll shoot the revolver and then pass time. And the reason I'm doing that is to make sure the wolves are running away before I pass time. There's the bear. You can hear the bear on the right side there. And then I pass time, and that kind of messes with the bear. He teleports next to me, and then I run away from him. So that was very close to bear mauling there. And now I'm also very close to just dying. So yeah, we got through the Timberwolf nightmare. That was there was only 3 Timberwolf packs, and 1 moose and 1 bear. The bear was right at the end, which would have been very annoying if he mauled me, but because I passed time, he kind of like moved towards me and then turned around, and then I had enough time to sprint over the bridge. Here I saved the game again, but this one I think I did it. I think I saved here once or twice, but I think I did this more or less flawless on my first attempt. But here again, this is the reason I picked up some food, just so I can sleep and regenerate some health. I can warm up, and I can most importantly get stamina back. So it's not very warm here, but it's warm enough. You can see I'm very low on health. I'm like 1% there or something because I passed time in a blizzard. So that was very risky. If you wanted to do this and you were in exactly my position, that wasn't technically necessary. You could have just, for example, slept a couple hours or something in the bricklayer's hut. Would get warmer. Probably that would have been the safest thing to do. This is why I needed the bedroll, because I needed to sleep there, and I also need to sleep at the end of this puzzle. So this puzzle here is also a bit of a weird one with the gas, but I don't mind this. I think this is an okay puzzle. It makes sense. There's like gas pockets. Here I passed too much time. It's not necessary. Pick up the thingy, and here the reason I pick up this accelerant is basically just a mistake. I thought there was water there. I thought I remembered from the my trial run that there was water there, but I think the water was actually inside the locker. But I decided not to go back. Then we come to the puzzle. Well, it's not much of a puzzle. It's more like an obstacle course, which is the toxic gas. The thing is okay, but it's not great. One thing I don't really understand about this is how you're supposed to do it if you mess up the anchors or the cranes or whatever they're called. Because you only have 2 to find. So in my run, I pretty much just placed them. The first time I played this, I placed them as soon as I found them, really. And then I had to kind of plan how I went ahead, but I'm not really sure what the intended strategy for this puzzle was meant to be. So here I picked this one up, I don't use it, which I did the first time I played this game, or this episode rather, but I placed it here instead, which also strictly speaking isn't necessary, but it makes things easy. And we pass some time, head to the next air pocket, which also I think you don't need to go to this air pocket, which I'm doing now. I think you can get through this in one go. Actually, I know you can, because I do it on the way back. So that little break I did there wasn't necessary. Oh well, it doesn't really matter. And you get here to this corpse, and you pick up the other latch, or what's it called? Latch? Handle, okay, it's called a valve socket handle. You get the key, and you get the drink, and now I tried to go through this without a flare, but I end up lighting one. I don't think I actually need one. It's pretty easy to navigate, but nevertheless, I did decide to light one. And then we get back to the entrance, and here I saved the game because in my scouting run, when I kind of looked around to see how to figure this stuff out, I died here a couple times doing my skip, which I don't know is strictly necessary because I'm not sure how much time it really passes. But anyway, what I'm doing here is I'm ignoring the first valve. So what I'm doing is I'm going through here, and then I sprint, and I ignore the first valve. I run all the way to the end and trigger that one instead. So I'm ignoring this one, keep running and running and running, and then you should be able to just barely make it to this next checkpoint here. I actually messed this up a little bit. I throw the flare by accident, so this is a little bit closer than it should have been. So yeah, I made it with only 1 second to spare. But I don't know if that's faster than just installing the other one and then running. Here I also made a minor mistake. I passed time, which wasn't really necessary because the elevator's right there. But, you know, there's a lot of minor mistakes in this run, as you can see. I don't loot fast enough. I pass time in the wrong place a couple times. I take too long looting. I save the game a few times when it's not necessary, although, you know, that's the hindsight, of course. Because the checkpoints that are automatic aren't always there. There's another one, I went slightly too far. And then we come to this segment, which is pretty straightforward. You just go and grab the detonators, the bolt cutters, then head out. And here I didn't actually check if there's any extra stuff in those lockers, so I just ignored them. And there's an extra flare, which is handy, and I don't think we need any more flares in the game. And we go up here. There's another bed if necessary, but we don't need it. But if I didn't have a bedroll, one option would have been to rest in that bed instead. So I think it actually is possible to complete all of episode 4 in a speedrun with no bedroll. I think that is possible. You just gotta plan where to sleep. You gotta sleep. I think you can make the first segment without the bedroll, then you sleep in the trailers, and then also in that bed, I think. So I think it is doable. It will take some practice though. The problem with speedruns of long things, that is the things that take an hour or longer, is that, well, it takes an hour longer. So if you speedrun things like The Hunted, for example, it doesn't take that long. So if you fail, you can just restart. But for something like this, it takes a while. It also depends if you want to do it in one go or if you want to do it in segments. Because what you can do is you can go from checkpoints. You can go to whichever checkpoint there is in the story, and then you just count that as one segment. So you do that segment as fast as you can. And if it's not fast enough, you exit and do it again, and you just glue those things together. That's how speedrunners sometimes do it. Like, I remember one of my favorite Half-Life 2 speedruns by Tamali and the gang. They did that. They had this edited together sequence of multiple, I think it was hundreds of segments edited together, and it was so cool. But if you want to do it in one run, then there's a lot of margin for error. Okay, so there wasn't much to say in that segment. You just run and get detonators, get the bolt cutters, go out. When you get the bolt cutters, don't approach the X on the ground, because you will trigger the animation to look at the light, which is the code for the forest torque cache. So you don't need that. So just get the detonator, then get out. And here I'm just sprinting back to the mine. Then we are coming to the last phone call with Jace. And then we're going to do some rope skips. And here also is the last time I sleep, which again is... I'm not sure if you have to do this here, but it makes things a bit easier. Including health-wise. Your health in these runs don't really matter as long as you don't die. Because it is, you know, when the run's over, the health is also gone. That's something a lot of people don't really understand with challenges and story mode. Not the speedruns aside, when you play challenges and the story mode, everything is kind of temporary. So if you do a challenge, let's say your hopeless rescue, your loot doesn't really matter, because when you finish the challenge, all that's gone anyway. So there's no real point trying to loot everything and stick to your loot and feel like you can't leave anything behind. It does make a difference, because once the challenge is over, it's over and all that stuff is gone. So here is the same thing. You don't need any of the stuff except the stuff you need to actually survive. So here then I grab this flare, which isn't necessary. I didn't need to do that. I just did in case I wanted to start a fire. And here I decide to sleep, just to regenerate the last bit of health, so I save the game. And now we're coming to the rope skips. The rope skips are a pain to do. I've practiced, and the best way to practice doing rope skips is to do it in story mode. Find a rope, save the game, and then practice. And what you'll see a lot of people do, the people who have tried doing rope skips, but by which I mean jumping off the cliff and grabbing a rope, what they tend to do is they tend to crawl off the edge and kind of fall off the edge and then grab it in midair. I found that in my opinion, I don't think that's the right way of doing it. The right way to do it is to walk off the edge and then turn the character in midair to then grab the rope as you fall down. So that's how you should do it, in my opinion. And you'll see what I mean coming up ahead here. So now we're heading back through Blackrock. I'm going to go through the little canyon over here. This is what you're seeing here is actually my second attempt in this run, because I did it my first attempt. I actually made it no problem, but when I landed and passed time, the game crashed and I got a black screen and my character died, so I had to reload. So I cut that part out. I don't count that as part of the speedrun because the game crashed. I mean, what are you going to do? So I loaded back here. But this is the second attempt and it works just as fine. So what you do is you run forward here, and again you pass time, and there's a few strategic time passes here. So here we're coming up to the first rope skip. So what you want to do is you want to hug the rope, so stand right next to it. I prefer standing on the left side, but it doesn't really matter. And then you walk off the edge and you grab it as you cursor over it going down. So it requires a little bit of aim and a little bit of timing. So you hug it, then you walk straight off. I know it's daunting, and grab. This one was right at the end. Split second one I would have died, so that was a little bit close, but it's faster. And then it's the next one, which is much longer. This is a very long rope, so it's a little bit harder. Again, here I need to skip pass time. This is very important. You need to pass time here before the rope, so that you have stamina when you land to outrun the wolves. So again, walk off. I'm going to fall down a bit and then grab it. Now, there you go. And that's how you do it. If you want to do this yourself, make sure you do it on story mode so you can practice. Don't do it on survival mode. Here is where the other extra noisemakers come in handy, and this is why you wanted to sprint. So I'm sprinting and then scaring off the wolf and then passing time just like before, and it works just fine. By the way, if you're very scared of the rope skip and don't want to do it, you can Skyrim down into this valley. I did that in my scouting run too. The wolf is scared, so I'm passing time. I was able to climb down from the top of those ropes all the way down here on the ledges on the mountain. And it didn't take that long either. If you do it fast enough, I would say that the rope skips I did probably only save you maybe 30 seconds. If you do it, because you can climb down the side of the wall if you want instead. If you do it fast enough, it's pretty fast. But
Die if I don't
the
take
problem
something
is
soon.
that you take a lot of damage doing it. And for me, that would have made a big difference. You'll see why, because in a minute, I'm going to do the next big mistake in this run. I completely misremember where the wolves are, and I make a big mistake. Now I use the energy drink just because it's slightly faster, and I climb up. And what's going to happen now is that for some reason they reintroduce wolves in. So when you approach Blackrock at the end of chapter 3, they add wolves to the game. They add wolves at the ramp that's going up to the prison. Usually 3 wolves, at least on hard mode. So this is why I had extra noisemakers, because I wanted to scare off the wolves. So I had one ready for this exact situation. But the problem is I misremembered where they were, and it almost went to hell. You'll see what I mean. But yeah, here you just gotta get back to the ramp, get back to Blackrock Prison. I try and do this as fast as I can, but this route I took here is a little bit wrong. I thought I could climb up this ramp right in front of me, but you can't. Well, maybe you can, but I didn't think it was fast enough to bother with it, so I went around. And here the wolves are up this ramp on my right now, and here I make my, my mistake. So I pass time, and then I get the noisemaker out. And I, for some reason, thought the wolves were right in front of me now. And they weren't, they were much further ahead. So this happens. I blew myself to pieces. The wolves still got scared, which helped, but one of the wolves didn't get scared. So I inject my stim, and I end up in a struggle. And this is why the pry bar came in handy. I almost died there, and I almost killed the entire run just before the end. And then I just keep running. One little thing to note about stims, if you didn't know this, stims will override sprains. So even if you have 4 sprains on you, if you stim, you can still run and you can still shoot. It ignores all of that stuff. And now you don't have to put your stuff in the locker because the game's about to end, so it doesn't make a difference. So you see, that was a very bad one. So I completely mistimed those wolves, and I almost blew myself to smithereens, and then I almost died in the struggle. That was very, very bad. But it's a little bit of luck that I didn't die there. Now the rest of this game is just kind of cinematic filler. You don't have your equipment anymore. Even if you did pick it up, it doesn't make a difference. It's literally just going through. You're literally just going through 3 small obstacle courses now, and then you are done. And there is no real shortcut or anything here. It's literally just doing it as fast as possible. So here, this segment is a little weird. You see, your sprint meter doesn't go down as you run, but when this scene is over, your sprint will be depleted, and this will happen even if you don't sprint before the scene happens. I don't know why that's the case. So here again, I want to recharge the sprint, but it won't let me, so I'm harvesting to pass time. And then I can do this obstacle course a little faster. If you're struggling with this obstacle course, I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's pretty easy, but at least on story mode, when I played it the first time, I actually died the first time I tried this when I played the episode normally. And what happened was that when I did it again, they removed the smoke so that you didn't die. Maybe that's to make it a little bit easier, I don't know. But once you know the route, it's really not complicated. Literally just up and over and around, and I think I get through this with like 30 seconds to spare or something like that. It's pretty easy. Yeah, this is already the end of it. So yeah, loads of time left. And here I make another minor mistake. I think it's the last of the mistakes. So I go into the warden's office, and then I pick up the hard case. But then what happens here is I forget that Jace is going to call. Actually, I forgot about it again because earlier. What I do is I leave. See, I'm leaving to the door, and then oh damn, the phone. But earlier also in the mine run, I said this is the last phone call with Jace, but of course it's not. It's also this one. So I actually forgot narrating this run. So oops. So I lost a little bit of time there as well. And that's a lot of that. The next conversations you have is actually a cutscene that you can skip. So now it's just about getting out of here as soon as possible. This also is pretty easy. Yeah, you can die, but it's not too difficult. So again, even though you are blocking the door and people are chasing you, they aren't actually chasing you. I think if you just pass time here, they won't catch up to you, which is exactly what I'm doing. I am harvesting my clothes again to pass time, so they can sprint more, which is faster than just walking. And here I make a minor mistake, I misclick the plank. There's a second or two. And these lights are actually not that hard. They're pretty predictable. They just go in kind of like a circle, and even if they find you, they shoot at you, but they don't really do much. Like, I guess you can take damage or something, but I never really suffered from the lights at all. You can pretty much just ignore them, provided you can actually run through it. But a little bit of a mistake there. I almost got caught by the lights there, but I decided to circumvent it rather than taking the chance that I would get shot and die, even though it's never happened to me. I was a bit worried that it would happen. Here is the only segment that's a little bit tricky, so here I do not pass time because there's a wolf in this area. And I don't want the wolf to get me, so here I do not pass time. I just regenerate strength by walking. And here I decide to pretty much just ignore the lights, and that's it. I decided to pass time anyway, because what I figured was that the wolf wouldn't really bother me. But he is charging me, as you can hear. But you gotta get to the door first. See, again, they shoot me, but nothing really happens. This segment is a little bit weird. And then you get back to the steam tunnels, and what some people have done is that they left loot behind here. If they know what's going to happen, they leave behind all their loot in the steam tunnels from chapter 2, so that when they get to this part in chapter 4, they just loot it again from the ground, which you can do, but it serves no purpose, because it's irrelevant to the rest of the story. And again, it's just about passing. Here it actually allows me to select the option pastime, but it won't actually do anything, so harvesting it is. And then it's the same, you just gotta keep running, harvest, run, harvest. There's one segment that's very annoying, which is, well, two I guess, which is this one. You gotta crawl through here. You don't really need light, but I have a match. And then what you need to do is, because this area is blocked off now with the electricity cables and what have you, you need to go the long way around. And the problem with that is this stupid crawl space that just won't let me do anything. So I tried finding a shortcut here, but the game won't let you. Even if you try to run over the cables, the game won't let you. You'll just fry to death. It puts up invisible walls. So this part is a little slow. I get why they do this. It makes sense you go back this way because you're familiar with it, but it's a little slow. And here is another like minor mistake. It's a bit annoying. So again, maybe get to this passage here, and I'm trying to get up, and I can't. See, I did it there, but I crouched again too fast. I just can't get up. It's too hard. You have to be very precise for some reason. It's very frustrating. So this loses a few seconds as well. And here I take a wrong turn. I thought I could go there, but I couldn't. Get some burns, but it doesn't matter. And that is pretty much it. That's the end of the game. Now you just run to Jace, and then I think you need to harvest maybe twice more. But once you get to Jace, the rest is actually a cinematic that you can just skip with clicking escape. You don't need to actually watch it. It's not an in-game cinematic or dialogue like the other ones. This is an actual animated cinematic. So it's a little bit different. And then we do one more harvest there, and that is the end. And I count the end of the game, the end of the speedrun, when the clock stops is when you enter the dam. So not here, but the next door. When you enter the dam here, it stops. Because from this moment on, it's just cinematic. So there, that's the time. And now you can just click escape, and then you're done. Escape, escape, and escape. And there we are. So, by the way, the music of the outro here, I changed it for copyright reasons. I put the regular theme on. So this run was just over 1 hour long. The time that I calculated was 1 hour, 1 minute, and 59 seconds. That's not completely accurate because I did do it over several segments and then I glued them together, and maybe some seconds got lost here and there. So maybe let's call it plus minus 15 seconds or something like that. But yeah, 1 hour. I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to try yourself, feel free. It's definitely possible to do it faster. Literally, if you just do exactly what I did, but do it better, I think you'll be anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes faster than I was just doing it more flawlessly. But I'm pretty sure some of the routes I took and some of the skips I did could be done more optimally. This was just my first attempt at speedrunning this and seeing if it was possible to do. So there's a lot of room for improvement there. I would be surprised though if it's possible to do this faster than 45 minutes maybe, but who knows, maybe once in the future. So yeah, so that's it. That was the speed run of episode 4. Hope you liked it, and let me know if you'd like to see speedruns of the other episodes. It's not difficult to do, really. Happy to do them. And also let me know in the comments if you prefer having commentary or just footage, because in my previous speedruns a lot of people requested that there would be commentary and not just gameplay. But let me know if you prefer just being silent. I don't mind either way. But yeah, I can't do commentary while doing it because that's too hard. You have to really concentrate and a lot of trial and error happening. But doing it afterwards is not a big deal. But yeah, that was it. Thank you. See you next time, survivors.